Here are the reasons why they turned out not to be right for us and maybe for you as well. Reason number one, they are wild. I don't know if you can see here, but I have all these sheep here that just are needing all the lovin's and attention. And as you can see, not a single one of them are Icelandics. Now, I just want to say that this varies from flock to flock and sheep to sheep. And I know this firsthand because my friend that I got these sheep from, hers are very friendly. Her kids play with them and lay all over them, and they're great. But for some reason, the ones on my farm, they are not friendly. They would rather be wherever humans aren't, which in some cases, that's great. But for our purpose, for milking and that day-to-day interaction, and I'm hoping that my kids can handle them, it's not as ideal as it could be. Reason number two, whoops, and this is probably the biggest reason. Maybe I should have saved it for last. But the biggest reason is they are escape artists, if you can believe it. Over the last year, we have grown our flock to about 20 head. And out of all of those sheep, our Icelandics are the only ones who escape on a regular basis. I think we have finally figured out how to keep them contained. We haven't had any escapees, but only time will tell, as we still have about 3 of them in our flock. These guys, they will literally crawl underneath the gates to get out. Any kind of gap that they can find, they will crawl through or under to get out. None of our other sheep have followed suit, thank goodness. Now, you might be saying, well, that's because they are smarter than the other sheep. And you might be right, but I think I'd rather have dumb sheep that stay where I put them than smart sheep who are never where I left them. Reason number 3, I did not find them to be as hardy as everyone said that they were. If you look anything up online, everybody talks about how hardy the Icelandics are. And maybe they are in certain places, but here on my farm, for some reason, that does not seem to be the case. Maybe they just don't thrive under the conditions that we have here. I know they do really well for other people. Maybe they do well for you. But here for us, they don't seem to do well here. They seem to have issues. So just something to think about before you focus on one breed and dive into that. Reason number 4, they are impatient. And this is a silly reason and really not a reason to rule out a breed of sheep. And again, it might not be the whole breed. It might just be the ones that I have, but they are impatient. My other sheep, when I go to feed them at night, they might baw or they're excited to eat. But the Icelandics are the only one who stand at the gate and they paw at the gate. Now, don't get me wrong. I have other sheep that have less than adorable traits or qualities, but we're focusing on the Icelandics today. Reason number 5, and this is also a pretty big one. The Icelandics have a very, very tiny carcass when you go to butcher them. And this is a big deal if your focus is on meat production. You have to keep that in mind. It either takes them a really long time to grow out and get to a certain size, or you're butchering them younger and you're just getting way less meat off of that animal. Now, I have heard that the Icelandics meat is the kind of lamb you want to eat if you don't like lamb. Now, I have tried it and it was good. The jury is still out if it's better than the other lamb breeds. So just something to think about. Reason number 6, they don't give much milk. Kind of the point of this video is it comes down to knowing what your top priorities are, what it is you really want from your sheep, and then focusing on those traits, or at least identifying what is most important to you. Is it milk? Is it the meat? Or is it wool? Is it fiber? And then find the sheep that are maybe the strongest in those areas, and then, you know, not quite as strong in the other areas. But anyway, they don't give a ton of milk. Now, I will say my daughters did each milk their ewes. I think at most they got about a pint per day, so about 2 cups. And that was lamb shearing. That was having their lambs separated overnight. They'd milk in the morning and then put the lamb back with them. They'd get about 2 cups. I will say their milk was delicious. It was very creamy, maybe even a touch more creamy than our dairy sheep breeds. But for us, where milk production is kind of our primary focus, it's just not quite enough, right? We want something with a little bit more milk for our efforts. My final reason number 7, is that they need to be shorn twice a year. Now, we have been getting away with only shearing them once a year, and I do know other people that do that and they do okay. The thing is, their wool grows so fast that if they're not shorn twice a year, they get really matted, and it just kind of ruins the quality of their wool. Not to mention it makes them really hard to shear when you do go to shear them. So that is something to think about. We shear our own sheep ourselves, and it takes us a while, so having that added work of having to do them a second time is just not really something that we are interested in, and that was actually not something that I realized when we got them. I just want to say, I realize that many of the reasons I listed are things that can be addressed. Improvements to milk production, lactation length, carcass size, even shearing requirements are all things that can be selected for and pushed toward our own goals through specialized breeding. But that's just not something that we want to do. Why try to force an animal to thrive somewhere that it naturally does not want to thrive, when there are other breeds that fit our requirements so much better and do so well here? I can respect that they are beautiful animals and they have their place. It's just not on our farm. What about yours? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Am I way off? Am I completely wrong? Do you agree? Have you had the same experience? Are you thinking about getting Icelandics on your farm? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear from you.